Welcome to this topic video. We're going to start getting started with React. Our goals here are to understand what we mean by a front-end framework, understand the lessons that are going to be coming up, because we're going to take our time and have a number of slide sets devoted to React. We need to understand the tooling we need to use to build React, and let's build our first React app here, okay? So what is it? It's a JavaScript library, okay, for building user interfaces, which means it's something we're going to bring in to help us build user interfaces. It's component-based. It has the concept of components, and it's going to help us build encapsulated components that manage their own state. Then we can compose them. We can make more and more complicated user interfaces. Okay, we're going to start very simple. We're going to use the main concepts track, not the tutorial track, which begins at Hello World and proceeds from there. Okay, we're going to essentially do that today. Slide sets. Besides this one, after this one, we're going to get an introduction to something called JSX. We're going to go over function components. We're going to understand how React renders. We're going to go into class components, start with an intro, then see how complicated they can get, and then we're going to go into component lifecycle a bit, because that's important for us to understand when we should make calls to servers and things like that. So in this class, our development environment is going to be based on the Parcel.js bundler. Okay, we will not be using Create React App. Nothing wrong with it. It helps you create very full-featured apps. It does too much too soon for us from a learning perspective. I want you to see what React's doing. Okay, don't need all the bells and whistles just yet. Okay. In addition, I want us to be able to create a lot of different React apps quickly and easily. So we're going to use the Parcel bundler. Okay. So you should have already installed globally the Parcel bundler. I will remind folks that are on Linux or Macs that I think, if I can remember correctly, that you need to use sudo, superuser, sudo, prior to giving this command to do global installs. Okay, there is a repo of examples. Okay, what do I mean? Examples repo zip. Okay, I took all these examples, and instead of having them all in separate places, I have them as separate branches in a repo. Then I zipped up that repo, which is not terribly big, because remember, not including node modules. Okay, so when you get that, all you need to do is go unzip and run git reset hard, which resets things to whatever branch. Okay, so in fact, you're seeing this right here. Okay, so you're seeing, so here's the git directory. Okay, here's some of the files. We'll explain some of these. Okay, now if we come over here, we're in this directory, current working directory. Okay, if I go git branch, we'll see that I have a whole mess of branches. Okay, I am currently checked out to the hello branch, meaning hello world. Okay, we're going to be going through these different examples. Okay, but what I didn't do is I didn't make a separate directory or separate thing for each file. Okay, I just created a new repository branch, git branch, for each of the examples. Okay, all you have to do is go git checkout from the branch name, like hello, or JSX1, to get that branch. We're on the hello branch right now. Okay. Okay. So that's available, but just by clicking on the link. Okay. First thing we need, there's no magic here. We need an HTML file. Okay. Every state when we create a React app, it's still a web page. It still starts with a web page. There's going to be a lot of code, but we still start with a web page. So let's take a look at a simple example file. Starting, this is index.html. Okay, seriously, index.html. Okay, doc type, HTML, header, head. Okay, char set, links. Oh, style sheet. What kind of fancy style sheet do I have? Oh, it's a little padding in the margin. Okay, nothing fancy. Doesn't do styling. Okay, viewport thing. This is actually something just to help out with cell phones and such. Title. This looks like, what's this no script thing? I've never seen that before. Maybe that's got something to do with it. No, this is just a nice convenient tag to tell people that if they're going to try and run this thing, they need JavaScript. If they don't have JavaScript enabled, this will show up. Okay. Otherwise, this doesn't show up. Okay. Then what do we have in here? Div ID root. What's that about? We'll see in a second. Then we have a script. We're going to bring in a script to this. So we're starting with what looks like pretty much normal looking, if very empty, HTML page. Good. Okay. Our application, index.js. We're really doing this? Let's check. Yes, we are. Import. What is this? This is an ES6 standard module import. We're importing something named React from React. Where is this? Oh, wait a second. We were looking here. It's sitting in Node Modules. How would I know it's sitting in Node Modules? I can go down and look. But why don't we take a look at the package.json file? Package.json. Okay. So what I've already done is done an install. Okay. I installed React and React DOM. Okay. Okay. These will be instructions in the homework assignment to remind you to do this. Okay, so these are two dependencies. These are two libraries that we loaded, okay, and downloaded from NPM. They got installed with Node Modules. So when we come here to index.js, we don't see any path here or anything. Our bundler is going to look at this and say, oh, no fancy path here. I'm going to look in Node Modules for that. Okay. Well, what else is going on here? React DOM render. What's this? Well, we imported this thing from React DOM. So what we seem to be doing here, this seems to be some kind of object thing, then we're calling a function. It's got a function. Okay. Now we see something very, very strange. Okay. It's not even being highlighted correctly because it's really not JavaScript. Okay. This is mixing HTML with JavaScript in some weird way. We're going to explain what JSX is in the next lecture. Okay. Then what's this? Document get element by ID root. Wait a second, that's just a regular old DOM call, right? This is the document of the document object model. Get element by ID root. Is root some fancy bizarre thing? No. It's the name of this div. Okay? So what we seem to be telling, or what we are telling React to do is render this this thing that looks like HTML. We're saying render, we're giving it something. We're saying document to where? Okay. We seem to be telling it where we want it to render. Gotcha. Okay. So standard ES6 imports, standard DOM call, function call. This part is weird. Okay. Now, we're going to bring in our bundler. What did I say we do for our bundler? Parcel has got very little configuration. We're just going to say parcel, give it the starting point. What's the starting point? HTML file. Hit return, and we wait. Okay. The first time this comes up can take a little while. Okay. Now look at this. It says server running at localhost, built in 7.21 seconds. Changes are not going to take that long. An initial build before everything gets loaded can take a little while. Okay. What is this? This is a URL. Let's grab that URL. Copy. Paste that URL. Hello, website development. What's going on here? Localhost. When we get to our networking portion, we're going to learn that localhost is the name for our local machine. Okay, we could also give it an IP address here. This 1234 is a TCP port number. Okay, and we can actually choose an alternative one if we're running multiple development servers. Okay, well, let's take a look inside this guy. Okay, so we see the head. The head says, meta character set, blah, 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 link. Okay. Meta, viewport. Okay, everything's there. Then we have script. Oh, we didn't put this in here. It says React parcel dot blah, 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 blah. I didn't put that in there. And then there's this other script down here. React parcel, blah, 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 blah. Oh, the bundler's doing that. Okay. Now in this div that's root, oh, something got filled in. React did that for us. Okay. So the bundler went and looked at our basic HTML file and went and chased down various things. Oh, look up here. This is CSS. The first thing at the top was a CSS file. It created a CSS file. I told you that bundlers will bundle up all our CSS and also compress them. Okay. Then we have a script down here that we pull in index.js. But here, React parcel blah blah, this funny number. Okay. So it created files for us to use. Got it. Okay. Good so far. We're running this from a web server. Really? Really? How can we tell? Go over to this app. Oops, sorry. Click on the Network tab. Click Refresh. We'll see a bunch of calls to the web server. First it gets the page, then it gets the CSS file, then it gets the JavaScript file. Okay. Favorite icon. Okay. So we're talking to a real web server. Good. Keep going. Okay. This is our development server. Okay. As I said before, we can change the port that it's operating on, saying parcel index.html minus p port number. Okay, why would you need to do that? Well, look at the command line. If this says port not available, that means you might be running another server. Okay, so what is all this? We understood the import statements. The funny stuff in here is a JavaScript language extension called JSX. Okay. In our JavaScript, we've got what looks like HTML. It is not. It is a JavaScript language extension, okay, that looks kind of odd to us, okay? Don't worry. All this stuff gets handled by the bundler in React. Okay, the DOM render. Okay, we're getting React to render something for us. The document ID root. Okay. So right now the big mystery, besides the bundler, which is doing what it's supposed to do, is we had to import two libraries and it put everything together. Okay. The big mystery is, what is this JSX? Now, before we end this lesson, let's come over here. Okay, website development. Professor, yes, wasn't this a lot of work just to put one line of text up? Yeah, it is, but it doesn't have to stay that way. We can go things like let contents equals section take this out here, bring this up here. I'm going to say H2 hi class, this is React. Okay, now what am I going to put back in here? I'm going to say contents. Okay, why do I say that? Because that's the name of that variable I put all this stuff into. It looks like I'm putting a bunch of HTML into a variable. Once again, this is this extension called JSX. What happens when I hit save? Oh, my bundler saw that something changed and updated. Okay. In addition, it told the browser to update. Okay. So this is going to be how we develop here. Okay. This is React. Okay. Little changes. Okay. Easy peasy. Okay. The bundler's doing it. It's watching the files in this directory, okay, and updating things. So that's our first introduction to React. I know it's not overwhelming with its capabilities, but this is just the start, and we're seeing one piece that's radically different to us, which is this syntax here. Okay, we're going to see all the great stuff that we can build. We're just starting one step at a time. All right, see you in the next lecture.